If you've always struggled with getting your habits to stick, and I mean the good habits here, because let's face it, the bad habits tend to stick on their own. But if you've always struggled with getting those bad habits to go away and get good habits to stick, then this video is for you. My name's Dave Cottrell. I'm a lived experience mental health speaker and a mindset coach. And I actually moved into mindset coaching from being a personal trainer where everything was all about habits. So this particular part of my job has been one of the longest standing ones there is. In over a decade of coaching, I have helped thousands of people shed bad habits and pick up good ones and make them stick with a little concept I call the 3 A's. And I'm going to share that with you right now. The first A is awareness. It is important to know that every bad habit we do starts with a positive intention, and understanding the why we do the habit is the key in actually beginning to make it move. Now, why is a tricky question, because the second someone else asks us why, or even we ask ourselves why, we get defensive, we shut down, it doesn't help us move forward. So a better question to ask yourself is, what positive do I get from this behavior? It's worth noting at this point that the 3 A's all deserve videos of their own, and I've already done that for you. So you can actually go in depth with this step of awareness with a video I've done called Slingshots and Boomerangs. Should be linked on screen now. Once we ask that question, what positive do I get from this behavior? We start getting into the real reason that the behavior sticks. Every behavior is trying to scratch an itch or meet an unmet need. And it's actually those unmet needs that are more important than the behavior itself. In fact, what's really interesting about those unmet needs is the vast majority of them are positive. Wanting to protect yourself, wanting to escape, wanting to de-stress, wanting to connect. All of these are potential positives as to why you might be doing a potentially harmful behavior. The Slingshots and Boomerangs video goes into much more detail on this, but for now, just know a boomerang behavior is a behavior that goes forward and then comes back, just like a boomerang. Gives you something up front, takes away later. All of our bad habits are boomerangs, and the problem isn't the need itself. The problem is how you choose to address it. So your first task for the first A is to sit with the behavior and say, what positive do I get out of this? Then write down that positive or positives if there's more than one, because you're going to need them for A number 2. The second A is alternatives. This one's really straightforward, and the powerful question you need to ask yourself right now is, how else could I achieve this unmet need without resorting to that boomerang behavior? Because importantly, the unmet need is still going to need to be met somehow when the behavior goes away. One of the core behaviors I look at with this is smoking. When a person stops smoking, it initially causes them more stress. Their body is going into cravings and really demanding that that person gives in, and that is a stressful experience to be in. If a person doesn't have a way of dealing with those cravings, they're probably going to cave straight away. So we look for alternate behaviors based on the answer to the question in A number 1. What positive do I get out of this? If the positive is stress relief, then your list is different ways in which I can achieve stress relief that don't involve smoking, vaping, binging food, binging TV. Now, the more in-depth video for this point is one on swapping your to-do lists for takeout menus, and you can find that one on screen right now. But here's what I want you to do at this stage. I want you to ask yourself that question and write down as many ideas that come to your mind as possible. When you ask, how else could I meet this need without resorting to that behavior, you may get one answer and you may get 10 answers or anything in between. And that's okay. In fact, if you're one of the people that only gets one answer, you might see that as a negative, but actually that can be quite positive, simply because you won't waste any time in knowing which one of the choices to pick. You'll just go for the one answer that came back. You'll have a much clearer path forward than the person with 10 answers. But if you are the person with 10 answers, you're going to want to watch that additional video. But the super short version, so you've got it all here, is that look at that list as things that you could do, not things that you have to do. It's a takeout menu, not a to-do list. Once you've got your list, it brings us neatly to the third A, which is accountability. This is the part that I call the world's worst business model. For me, not for you. Because I could essentially use this point to sell you one-to-one coaching and be accountable to you. But I actually don't want you to need me. I want you to be able to do what I could do for you for yourself. So I'm going to teach you the two most important things about accountability that I would bring to the table if I was working one-to-one with you. Once again, there is a longer video on this. It's the one called Baby Steps and Happy Dancers, and the information about that can be found on screen right now. All of these videos are linked in the description. The key point when it comes to accountability is how we speak to ourselves after we have taken part in the new habit is probably the most important thing when it comes to making it stick. The easiest way to describe this is for you to imagine what you would want me to say for you if you came to me whilst changing this habit. And there are two key stages to focus on for this. The first one is when we get the behaviour right, and the second one is on the days we slip, we relapse, we maybe get the behaviour wrong. Let's go with when you get it right. Now imagine the goal you've set for yourself is to stop smoking. You've smoked every day for the past 10 years. If you were to then go a day without smoking and I was being your accountability partner and you came to me and you're like, Dave, I've just done it, a day without smoking, I would not look at you and say, tell me when it's been 10 days, tell me when it's been 30 days, one day, you expect me to be impressed? I just wouldn't say that. If I was your coach and I did say that, I would expect you to fire me on the spot. But the reason I bring this up is because that's probably the way you talk to yourself when you do it. You look around and you see other friends that have never smoked or have given up smoking and gone years without doing it, and you compare yourself and you go, oh well, they don't even smoke, or they gave up really easily and I've just done one day. So what? The problem with this is, just like how if I'd have said that to you, it'd make you feel terrible. When you say it to you, it makes you feel terrible. And when you feel terrible, well, chances are you're going to go back to the behaviour. Now let's look at what I actually would say in that situation. You come to me, you're like, Dave, I've gone a day without smoking. And I'd just stop and be like, oh, that's so amazing. That's fantastic. I'm really proud of you. Let's see how long we can take this. Let's go for another day tomorrow. I bet that was really hard and you've done it. I'm so proud of you. That is honestly the type of interaction I have with my clients when these situations occur. In fact, I actually remember one specific client who I was helping to quit drinking, and I was lying on my bed just through there, and the text came through and said, didn't drink today. I lost it. I jumped up, I ran along this corridor, I was cheering, I was so happy, I was thrilled. That particular client is 8 years sober now, and we still see each other from time to time, and both of us love to remember that day. So what about on the days where it doesn't go to plan? And you make a slip, you have a relapse. Now, with many journeys, relapses are part of the process. The step from failure to success isn't just a on and off switch. It's a stepwise system where the person gets 6 months, and then they get a year, and then they get 2 years. But sometimes along the way are little dips, little relapses. How we deal with that moment is extremely vital. Now imagine again, you come to me, and let's say this time around you've given up drinking. You've gone 3 years without having a drink, and you come to me and you're like, Dave, I'm so disappointed in myself. I had a drink. At that point, you wouldn't expect me to turn around and go, oh my gosh, you're such a failure. I can't believe it. You have 3 years under your belt. How could you possibly do this? How could you be so silly? I just wouldn't say that. Instead, at that point, I'd give you some perspective. I'd be like, you were drinking every day, and now you've just gone 3 whole years without drinking. You are massively on the way to success. You're already succeeding. And the way we treat this moment now, we can treat this as you drank again or you are drinking again. They have two very, very different meanings. I drank again means it was an isolated incident and I'm going to move forward from here. I'm drinking again suggests that it's going to last for a certain amount of time before you stop and start again. So again, the simple answer here is on the days where you get it wrong, give yourself compassion. This may seem difficult and your instincts might automatically want to default to guilt. But the most important thing to know, we don't guilt ourselves into greatness. Guilt is only useful if it causes us to change for the better. If guilt pushes us further into those habits, it's only destructive. So there we have it. 3 A's, 4 questions. Awareness, alternatives, accountability. What do I do? And more importantly, what's the positive I get from it? How else could I achieve that positive without this first behavior? How am I going to talk to myself when I get it right? And how am I going to talk to myself when I get it wrong? You lock all of those in, and your habits will change quicker than you can imagine.